Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neil, and I'm joined by Patricia Tallman of Knightriders, Babylon 5, and all kinds of cool stuff, and Barbara of Night of the Living Dead 1990. It's very cool to have you here.
Oh, thanks so much. It's really sweet of you to invite me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say, I saw on your IMDb page, it said that George Romero asked you to be a Knightrider. So, how did that come about?
I actually did audition for it.
Okay.
Because I hadn't met him yet. This is when I first met him. It was the first project that I worked with with George. And I was in. It's so funny because I'd been in Pittsburgh for 4 years at Carnegie Mellon, and it wasn't until I moved to New York that I met George, because he lives in Pittsburgh too. Mm-hmm. But he was there auditioning people for this project, and I heard about it through the grapevine through a bunch of my friends, also Pittsburgh actors. So I'm from Chicago originally.
Okay.
So I just auditioned for him, and I guess he liked me.
Did you know anything of, did you know who he was? Did you know of George Romero?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I knew he was. My friends made me go see the original Night of the Living Dead when I was in college. I typically don't go to horror movies. They really freak me out, so I don't go. I like scary movies. I don't like gory movies.
Okay. There's a difference.
Yeah, there is. There really is.
Yeah. So what did you think of the script for Knightriders? Because it's a really unique movie.
Yes. That's actually a really good question, because when I heard George was remaking Night of the Living Dead, I was like, why? Because the first movie was so awesome and so effective. But I learned that it was a copyright issue, and then when George and Tom Savini started to collaborate on it, Tom was going to update all these effects, and then George and Tom came to the conclusion that Tom should direct the film. And then Tom approached me and said, you need to read the script. And because I thought they were just going to remake it. Mm-hmm. But he changed Barbara, and he made Barbara into a character I was really interested in doing. I'm not interested in portraying women as these creatures who have sex and then get murdered in horror movies, right? Right. Or they're so stupid they walk down the stairs in their underpants in the middle of a storm, and then all the lights are off. What are you doing? Yeah. So I didn't want to be the original Barbara, which was appropriate for the time, and Judith O'Dea is amazing. But I thought, I don't want to, that's just so not me. So when I read the script, I got very excited about it, because it had this whole different take for a woman in a horror movie, something we just hadn't seen before.
Yeah, it's interesting because both Barbaras have the first part's it's almost the same, but then their story arc changes as
right.
When all this stuff happens in the original movie, she just loses it.
Right.
But your character changes, but you become stronger.
Right. That was the intriguing part. I've always liked the stories, any kind of story that starts with somebody who is just being an average person, somebody that we can all relate to. And then because of the circumstances, they have to become extraordinary and handle what's happening, even if it's completely bananas.
Right. Now, did you meet Tom Savini on Knightriders, or did you know him before?
I actually met Tom at Carnegie Mellon University, which is why I was in Pittsburgh. That's where I went to school. And Tom came in as a teacher. He was doing theater makeup, and he was also taking acting classes. I wasn't in any of his classes, but I met him while he was teaching.
Okay. So, so when you're working on Knightriders together, did you get along then? Did he stay in touch with you after Knightriders?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we're all kind of a group. Everyone stays in touch and talks after college. We still are friends. Everybody. Just the class is still friends. We get together and have barbecues and stuff. So, yes, we stayed in touch over the years. Yeah.
What did you think of Knightriders? Because I'm a fan of it, but it's a very peculiar movie.
Oh, I loved it. I'm a nerd, and I love fantasy books. Lord of the Rings, and I just thought it was it had a lot of that magical quality to it,
Mm-hmm.
the script, because of Merlin, the character Merlin, and then what King Billy goes through and all of that. I thought it was really cool. My challenge I felt at the time, being a young actor, this is the first time I was ever in front of a camera. Obviously that's a challenge. And then the other part was making Julie Dean interesting, because to me, the character could be really flat if you weren't careful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I set that as my task as an actor. I have an acting teacher here in Los Angeles. His name was Charles Nelson Riley, and he used to say, the writer puts the black on the page and the actor fills in all the white. So you say your words, but you've got to have all that life behind it.
Yeah, I actually read or maybe I saw an interview with you that it was that your acting coach was Charles Nelson Riley, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I was a fan of him on Match Game and stuff.
Yeah.
What was he like, I guess?
He was amazing. I know that his on-screen personality is this kind of wacky comedian. He's very funny, and he is very funny. But he studied with Herbert Berghoff and Stella Adler and was an amazing teacher and director. And I know a lot of people are not aware of that. He also directed opera, but he directed Julie Harris on Broadway, where she won a Tony. And, so he had these chops that a lot of people didn't know about, I think. Yeah. And I was very fortunate to have kind of fallen in with a group of people that ended up in his class.
Yeah. So when your friends dragged you to the first Night of the Living Dead, what did you think of it?
I was horrified by it. I had nightmares. I mean, it was terrifying, It was just terrifying. Yeah. I still hate zombies. I started hating zombies on that day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, what's it like then to be in a movie with zombies? I know, obviously, they're actors.
No, I had to deal with zombies all the time because it was a small set. So everybody who is a zombie, we're all eating together, and they were disgusting to look at because the guys, it was Johnny Volich and Everett Burrell were doing the effects. They were proteges of Tom Savini, so they were doing all of the makeup, and the zombies looked so convincing. It was just, I lost so much weight on that movie because I could hardly eat, and the smell of the makeup and I was just like, oh my god, I hate those guys.
Yeah. So what do you make of zombies being so mainstream now? Because at the time I grew up being a big zombie kid. There wasn't too many other people who like zombie movies in the early 80s. Yeah, but now it's like you could go to Walmart and they have kids shirts with zombies on them.
I don't get it because I guess you'll need somebody who has more of an anthropological outlook on this, because to me zombies are disgusting and they're not sexy, and I don't understand why people want to watch zombie movies. Maybe because they're really, really scary or something. I find ghosts and those kind of things much scarier. I find zombies just gross.
Yeah. So actually, did that help? Do you think that helped your performance in the movie, because you really do find the zombies gross?
Maybe so. Yeah. No one's asked me that. Maybe so. Maybe you're onto something.
Yeah. So is Tom, I assume, is doing both makeup on the movie, or maybe his people are, and directing it. So what's that like?
I think Tom was more overseeing. He approved all of the effects, and I'm sure he. I know that he, was a part of planning the effects. What's going to happen when, storyboarding everything. So the guys, then Everett and Johnny would go with, okay, now they get to figure out how to make that happen. So Tom would say, I want this to happen, and then they have to make it happen. And obviously with Tom being who he is, he could also work with them on, okay, this is how I see it happening, how you make this happen. But Johnny and Everett both have gone on to win awards for their work, so they are really smart guys and know what they're doing. Tom is an amazing director, and he's a fantastic actor's director. I don't know if you know what I mean by that. He being an actor, knows what we need. He trusts us. He empowers actors, and and he treated us with respect. And I have been on sets where directors have been total dickheads. So I am very grateful for having an experience, especially when the first time I was a lead in a film, to work with a director who treated me with such respect.
Yeah. 'Cause he didn't direct much till like years later. Do you know why? Because I love the remake of Night of the Living Dead, and you think he would have went on to do more movies?
I couldn't answer you that. I mean, that's a question for Tommy. I've always thought he should direct more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So, how involved was George Romero in the remake?
I didn't see much of George's involvement until the very end. At the very beginning, he was around a little bit, just wishing us well. I know that they had meetings and conversations, and they were, they were the powers that be. I was focused on my job, and I didn't see a whole lot of George until the very end of the film.
Yeah. Bill Moseley plays your brother.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Bill Moseley. And you went on to work with him a few times after that.
I know. Yeah. We got to do. He was my captain in Army of Darkness. He was my ex-husband and producer in Dead Air. I really love working with Bill.
Yeah. What was he like when you first meet him?
He was, in fact, we were like the first two actors to arrive, and he was great. He walked me through some things. There's union paperwork and there's union perks that he was helping me become aware of. Also, and this is not a very well-known fact, but I was very ill when I arrived on set. I had picked up a parasite in Italy and didn't know what was wrong with me. The doctors had tried, and I lost all this weight. And when I arrived in Pittsburgh to shoot Night of the Living Dead, Tommy was like, "Patty, you're supposed to be one of the living." I was so skeletal. Yeah. I'm normally like a size 8, and I was a size 4.
Oh, wow.
The wardrobe woman was going crazy because all the clothes were falling off of me. And you might even notice in those opening scenes, the blouse that they had me in is gigantic on me.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have time to do much in the way of replacement of the wardrobe yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyone listening, if they want weight loss tips, it's parasites. And
parasites. No, they do it. You can't keep anything down. It's awesome.
Right. So I saw you've also done a lot of stunt work. So
yes.
Which came first? Did you pursue to be a stunt person or an actor?
No, I was definitely an actor. I've been working professionally since I was 15. The stunt work I basically just fell into. Oh, yeah.
That actually took me a second.
I know, I could hear it. Oh, well, I was trying to fill it in. I worked on a film, another George Romero film, like as you mentioned, Knightriders. And on that film, there was a big team of stunt guys because of all the motorcycle work in that movie. And I started, talking to them. We were on a set for 3 months together. You talk to people, you start to get to know each other really well in between downtime and shots. And it started to catch her. I can't say that that's where I decided to become a stunt person, but it was capturing my attention. And I thought, what a unique way to make a living. But I don't think I actually ended up doing stunts for another 5-7 years.
Okay. So did you do any stunts on Night of the Living Dead?
No, actors are not supposed to do their own stunts. You can do them when you're Tom Cruise, because if he breaks an ankle, it shuts down the film. Oh, well, he's one of the producers, which is exactly what happened in the last Mission Impossible. But they can't have actors hurting themselves or getting injured. So I did in Night. I did a lot of running around, and I beat up the dummy, Uncle Reed. I beat him up. That's really me. That's about it.
Yeah. Which is actually harder to do, like the physical work or like an emotional scene?
Oh, Neil, these are really good questions. I appreciate it because I do a lot of these, so it's really, really great to hear your take on things. I say that when I'm doing stunts, I always think, oh, I wish I was just acting. And when I'm acting, I'm like, oh, I wish I was just getting hit by a car, you know? And so I did, though, I really feel like I kind of did all I wanted to do as a stunt person. So I'm happy to leave that world behind. You know, I still like doing fights, or I like doing fencing. It's just something that's fun. But as an actor, it's almost like you never really get to do everything you want to do unless you're a huge star and constantly working.
Yeah. Are there? I guess there has to be for stunt double stuff, but you don't hear a lot about female stunt people.
Right.
So when you got into it, was there a lot of competition?
There's always a lot of competition, but I was a really good size, being 5'9" and a size 6, size 8. I doubled a lot of actresses. So that helped, just being that size. And then I was willing to take some really hard hits. I can, hit the ground hard. Or there was no job I turned down because it was too hard. There might be a job like a motorcycle stunt I turned down because I'm not trained.
Right.
But otherwise, it was, yeah. And I always showed up and I always did the job. I mean, it's kind of surprising how many times you get on set and a stunt person balks on a job, that kind of shocked me. But nowadays, so much is done with effects. So in a way, it's good because people aren't risking their lives in the same way. And in a way, it's kind of a shame because it was a really adventurous way to make a living.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it,
okay.
but it was a really adventurous way to make a living.
Yeah. So we talked about Barbara's story arc and how she's different from the original one. Did people pick up on that at the time, or is it more over time? Because
Well, I think both. I think you're right, both. At the time, I definitely heard, how, especially from other women saying, "Oh, I'm so glad this character was so different, and that she was so badass." And Sigourney Weaver had done Alien, so that was starting to that trope is starting to get broken of the idiot woman getting murdered, being the first victim, kind of thing. But yeah, getting a chance to be. I felt like I used a lot of myself in that movie, and getting a chance to be badass was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the internet came about and conventions and stuff, before that, were you aware that the Your Night of the Living Dead had such a following?
Oh no! Yeah, I had no idea. And we didn't know when we were doing it that it would become anything special. You're just trying to do the best job you can. Everybody really does. And I think, we talk about this a lot amongst ourselves, actors and my friends in the business, that it takes kind of this magic alchemy to happen to make a movie that rises above the rest. Everybody tries to make a movie that's going to rise above the rest, right? So it is this kind of strange magic that happens, a chemistry that happens that's almost unpredictable. So we were very lucky. I mean, as a cast, we got along great. We're all still friends. I think, Tom had the magic touch, and George wrote a great script. It was all these great things that kind of came together. Yeah.
I didn't mention that Tony.
Like kind of like what you're saying, at the time of that movie came out, it was different enough that I think it sparked some interest. And then, and it's a movie that's holding up. I'm proud of it still. It's not something I ever have to make excuses for. I've always been able to hold my head up.
Yeah, I always loved it, and I watched it again for the interview, and it definitely still holds up. And
thank you.
Yeah, and I love the original one. It's similar enough that it's not like different, like they just go a totally different direction. But yet it's different enough that it's its own movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how about Tony Todd, who Tony's band? He's amazing in the movie. Yeah.
He's hilarious. Tony was hilarious.
What was he like on set?
He's amazing. I'm only pausing because what do you say about Tony Todd? He's a really great guy, and I can't remember the film that he had come off of, but he was working a lot, and he was kind of in this world of bigger films and projects and Hollywood, and we were we knew, Tom's crew. I knew a lot of those guys, and we were kind of more of a family. And then with me and Billy Butler was a child star, so he had a lot of experience, but everybody else had more of a family vibe going on. So Tony comes in with this Hollywood gloss, this glamour, and we were like, yeah, you're gonna become part of the family, whether you like it or not. So it was really fun to kind of bust his chops every once in a while, and he totally embraced it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would try to take naps because we're shooting all nights, right? So except for the first scene, the rest of it was all night. So we would be, kind of taking little cat naps here and there. We are the cast. We didn't have a dressing room. They took the barn of that house. That house had an actual barn, and the stalls, they hung shower curtains in between to create like little privacy cubicles, dressing rooms. Mm-hmm. And then we would hang out in the main area of the barn, which they put furniture in. They kind of, the floors were dirt and some wood in some places. So they put carpets down, and they put in, it looked like stuff that people put on the curb, so here's a couch, let's bring it in. We'll put it in the actor's lounge. So we had this barn, and Tony would be trying to take a nap or something in the barn. And we were like, oh yeah, we're going to totally wake up Tony. Just like do shit with him, because the house was full of this random, strange artifacts, like stuffed mounted creatures. And there was this little stuffed alligator that I would carry around with me for some, I don't know why, I was punch drunk, and I put it in bed with Tony, so he'd wake up and his arms are around the little stuffed alligator, shit like that. Put antlers on his head, anything we could do to bust his chops, and he was such a good sport.
Yeah. If there was Facebook and social media around at the time, there'd probably be pictures everywhere.
Right, there would have been pictures, and his life would have been ruined. But
one of my favorite people, Tom Tolles, one of our first guests on the show back in 2006, I think. He's awesome. Yeah. What was he like on the set? And,
he's hilarious. I mean, that big personality, as you can imagine. There's that going on, and he had that voice. He wasn't afraid to go as far as he could go, pushing buttons or being silly or whatever. He was a great sport.
Yeah, and he has some lines in the movie I think if someone else would say might come off like a lame, because he's like calling people lame brains and yo-yos, but with his delivery, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, Tommy took care of me when I was sick too. Because that first week I was still very sick, and I couldn't keep food down, and we couldn't, like I said, nobody knew what was going on. So somebody in the office got me to this doctor who prescribed something that worked, that killed the bug. But then I was still, my tummy was so destroyed from not only the bug itself, but then the medicine. So Tom took me under his wing, because he was quite the naturopath. He was into natural medicine, and he started putting yogurt in me, and this is before we knew about probiotics, right? Yeah. So he was finding all that stuff to put the good bacteria back into my system, and that's what turned me around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a few years ago. I had some issues. I had 14 inches of my colon removed, so I know all about probiotics.
Oh my God! Yeah. Okay. So that it was completely unknown then, and I was really grateful for his. He was like a big mama bear. It was great.
Yeah, it's weird because when I met him a bunch of times, and he is a really big guy. But in the movie, I guess because Tony Todd's very tall, he doesn't look as big.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of the finished movie when you first saw it?
Oh, I was pleasantly surprised, happily surprised. We were all rooting for it, and I was very happy about it. I thought as a cast, we really were truthful and honest, and there wasn't false notes. I felt like the acting was really natural and honest all the way through, which I loved. And the effects came across amazing. Tom built that tension with his directing, built the tension in the story. I felt like it really worked.
Yeah. Was there ever any talks to do a sequel?
Mm-mm. Not that I know of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've some questions here from Facebook.
Okay.
Renee Mercedes wants to see. Well, first he says I had a crush on you. How was Tom Savini as a director, which we already talked about? Did it feel like working with a first-time director?
Never felt like a first-time director. Not to the actors. We all felt great about it. I mean, I don't know if there was anything going on with the crew. That everybody felt like they were working really well together. So I'll just speak from my perspective. I was, like I said, I was really grateful. Yeah.
Natosha Wilson says she was 6 when the movie came out, and
oh,
no. A movie that she begged her mom to watch over and over again.
Are you kidding? So you watched it when you were 6? Oh my God, you poor thing. Scarred for life. I wouldn't let my kid watch it. He didn't see it until he was, I don't know, like 17, 18.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I probably shouldn't admit this. And the first movie I have memories of seeing is the original Night of the Living Dead. I was like 6 myself, 5 or 6 at the drive-in. Because a single mom, and my brother's 9 years older, so instead of getting like a babysitter, she would take me along to the drive-in with him and his friends. And I said this story in the show before, but it's my first memory of seeing a movie, and I started to cry during the scene when the truck blows up and the zombies start eating people.
No.
And my mom turned to me and said, "Oh, it's all right. They're just having a barbecue."
Oh.
And
Neil,
then I was fine after that. Well,
Neil, this
fine as I could say. Yes, other people have said that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So her question was, if I could ask her anything, it would be, how scared of zombies were you after being in Night of the Living Dead?
Yeah, right. It made it much worse. It just solidified. Yeah. I do have those memories of being just completely. Now my tummy woes from the story, and here I am trying to eat. Right? And I'm surrounded by this disgustingness. So that didn't help either.
Right.
Yeah. I've never recovered from that.
I was just saying, I hope you're doing better. But,
yeah. Not around, so I'm afraid.
My friend Heather Buckley said she actually interviewed you for the Army of Darkness Blu-ray disc.
Okay, yeah. Right.
Yeah. She wants to know what draws you to genre work. What draws you to do horror movies?
I just lucked into it. It wasn't anything I had focused on, but I have told this story. I hope I'm not boring you. But the when I was a kid, my main games to play with my cousin were Dark Shadows and Star Trek. Mm-hmm. We would play with our Barbies and create Star Trek stories, or we would act out Dark Shadows. So I don't think it's an accident that my career was mostly sci-fi and horror. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you become what you focus on. So that's what I focused on, and that's where my career went. Meeting George Romero, starting in his work. I did 5 projects with George, and except for Knightriders, which was not horror. Everything else was. And then I think because I was in some horror movie, I ended up in more horror movies. Plus doing stunt work, the women in horror movies are always in peril, right? They're always having terrible things happen to them. So I worked a lot in that, and a lot of Star Trek stuff. Yeah.
She also wants to know, do you have any favorite final girls besides yourself, I suppose?
Do I have any favorite final girls? What does that mean?
See, it used to be like the Scream Queen was like the term, and then the new term is final girls, because it's really you're one of the first, or like I said, an Alien, where it's the final girl in the movie who's like who ends up, surviving.
Oh my gosh, you have schooled me in a whole new phrase, final girls. Right. I love it. Well, yes, I would have to say Sigourney Weaver, because she's also a hero of mine anyway. But yeah, Ripley, right?
Holy shit. Definitely.
The original badass. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the new Terminator they brought back.
Oh, I know. I know. Very, very excited about that.
Yeah. Do you watch horror movies now?
I like scary stuff. The last thing I just watched was on Netflix. It was that Haunting of Hill House miniseries.
Oh, yeah.
And it scared the shit out of me. And I couldn't stop watching it. There are a little bit of gory things in there, but it was easy to close my eyes for that. So mostly it was just really scary.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about your the Penny Lane charity? Because I noticed you do.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also want to tell you about this other thing I'm doing. But Penny Lane is anybody who's on my Facebook page. I do a holiday thing for those kids. I've been doing it for a little over 25 years now, and we get together and make sure that these kids who have been abused, they've been so abused they can't be placed in regular foster care. So they're in group homes, and I have teenagers from 12 to 18, and I just tried to provide a Christmas for them. We put on a Christmas dinner, we make a little party, decorations, and then Santa comes and they get a bag instead of a stocking. They get a bag, like a big gift bag, and it's full of fun stuff for them, and I design each bag for each kid. And then they get a gift card to the mall. So we raise cash for the gift cards and then split it up amongst the kids. So they all get a gift card for the same amount of money. And they can go do their own shopping because they're teenagers. They want to shop for their own stuff. Yeah. Absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah. If you want to join the fun, it's pennylane.org. And that's the group home, so you can see what they're about. And if you're interested in being part of Be a Santa, that's beasanta.org. Or on my Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/Patricia Tallman page. And we always start promoting, Penny Lane stuff in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And what are you doing currently?
I lead adventure retreats for nerds. So that's my new business called Quest Retreats. And I've been doing it since 2015. And I've got a huge Lord of the Rings trip coming up. I'm going to take everybody through New Zealand, starting at the top of the North Island and going all the way down to the South Island. We're hitting all the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit locations and doing fun stuff in between. And it's a 16-day adventure. And you could see that if you'd like to go to questretreats.com and check it out. And then there's an apply button, and you can apply. Send me an email at pat@questretreats.com, and I'll tell you more about it.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. I took 2 trips to New Zealand, 2 month-long trips to scout everything out. And I really wanted to just make sure I picked the best things to do and the things that got me excited. If I get excited about it, I figure it's got to be good. And I tried every excursion, every company, and what I found was that nobody was doing it the way I thought it should be done. So I put together my own thing.
Yeah.
Wow. It is.
I grew up knowing watching horror movies and playing Dungeons and Dragons. So
yeah. Oh yeah, perfect. Got a lot of gamers going. Yeah.
Well, when did you start that? Because it really, I really like that idea.
Oh, thanks. 2015 was my first trip. So I started thinking about it, obviously, before that, and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then I realized what was getting me excited. That was my clue. So I put together a London trip. It was all around Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. It was opening at the West End. And I thought, to go to see a West End play with the original cast and it's Harry Potter, that's going to be so epic. And then I created this whole week, it was 10 days, of going to see the play, of doing all these Sherlock, Doctor Who, Harry Potter, all these fun, amazing things to see around London. I didn't do the usual stuff because, hey, you don't need me for that. You don't need me to take you to Madame Tussauds. You can do that on your own. But I found all of these kind of obscure and epic events to do in our time together. Plus, we're hanging out together. It's a bunch of nerds together. So we all get the jokes. We all instant community. It's so fun. And it's a small group. I have 10 or 15 people on the trip, depending. And so it's just us. It's really fun.
I went to London for the first time last year with my friend Jason.
Yes.
And he's a big Harry Potter fan, and so we went to, I forget which platform it's called, something 3/4.
Platform 9 3/4. Yeah.
There you go. All right. And I actually did get a platform 9 3/4 patch because it was pretty cool. But
it is cool, isn't it? It's really amazing to be there and just see it. It's just so much fun.
Yeah. We were going to go to a Harry Potter themed bar, but it was closed for renovation at the time.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, well, I have everybody do a potions class, and we have, and then you have to drink the potions, but they're all alcoholic, so it's awesome.
Yeah. So we end up finding a Breaking Bad theme bar, which was like in like a van, and you had to make your own cocktails, with dry ice and stuff. So it was like scientific, like you're making. Yeah, it was. We did the same thing though. Went to a lot of. Not like because when I came back, my brother's like, "Did you see this?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Why did you even go? What did you see?" I was like, "I don't know. We went to Fleet Street, Demon Barber Fleet Street.
Yeah.
Had a meat pie and stuff like that."
See, stuff like that is so. I mean, London is one of my favorite cities because there's layers upon layers upon layers of that town. I don't know. I don't know how you would ever see everything because there's so much going on, and it's ancient, right? So you can do these things that are incredible, getting down into the subterranean or going to these amazing high-end bars, restaurants, taking trips on the Thames, just doing a Dickensian tour. I had a guy he does all the walking tours in London, and he did. I said, "This is what I want," and he created a tour for us. And it was like so weird because we walked through these tiny little narrow passages. So that's what I wanted to bring to New Zealand, to bring that same kind of ability to dig down deep and find the stuff that was going to get us so excited. Yeah. Right. And New Zealand's all out in the open. It's a very natural place, whereas London is the ultimate urban experience, right? So New Zealand's kind of the other end of it. And I've got people that are coming back and doing repeated trips with me because they want to see, okay, what's she going to do now?
Yeah. So when you do New Zealand, is it like a lot of hiking?
No, it's not. It's not an athletic trip. But we are going to be outside, and we do have walks that we'll be doing, but we're not going to hike to the top of Mount Doom or anything like that. Right. You do need to be able to move around. It's not unfortunately, it's not wheelchair access, but it is, we're going to be getting on horses. We're going to go on boats. We're going to, be at the top of a mountain and take gondola rides. And,
I love it. That's awesome.
And I bring celebrities along into the picture too, depending on where I can fit them in. So, like with when we were in London, we had 2 actors from Harry Potter join us for a day. And so like in Hawaii, I had Jonathan Frakes join us for a boat ride. Christopher Judge came along for a snorkel trip. And so it's really fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, very cool.
That's what I can bring to it. As an actor, I can bring the kind of the behind the scenes.
Yeah, I like it. So you mentioned your Facebook page. Where is that your preferred method people follow you?
Yeah, I have an Instagram too called quest.retreats and the numeral 4 nerds. That's the Instagram. But both of those places are great. Or questretreats.com.
All right.
If you're interested in the trips themselves, get on my mailing list because then I'll send you, when I have new trips come up, you'll get the info on them because they're small, so they fill up fast. And you want to know about it if it's something that flips your switch.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thanks, Neil. I really appreciate it. Cool. Let me know if you have any other questions for me.
Well, I do have a few ones here. I would want to about playing the possessed witch in Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
Was that a fun experience? And what was Bruce Campbell like?
Bruce is hilarious. I mean, he pretty much is exactly who you think he is. Just this wacky dude. I've known Bruce since I was in college because he was dating and then married one of my sorority sisters. So I met him before they had done the original Evil Dead. And then right after we all got out of college, I guess he and Sam did the first Evil Dead. Mm-hmm. And what was I going to say about that? That you were asking me how was it like to work with? What did you ask me?
Yeah, it was just, what was it, a fun experience? And
He's a fun experience. It was a very hard experience, not because of Bruce, because the character of the witch was a tremendous amount of work. There was and it doesn't look like it, and I understand that, but I had to go to K&B Effects and get a full body. What do you call a full body cast made? My head was made a couple different times. They built the witch on my head, and then putting the witch on was about a 4.5 hour process. And she was incredibly uncomfortable. I couldn't eat. I could hardly pee. I had my hands even were the hands are all covered and the nails are gigantic and crazy. So it was it was about a 17-hour shoot day for me. And then it took another 2.5 hours just to get out of makeup. And we had to shoot it all in one day because that was the budget. We were budgeted. So we went over. And then I took 17 shotgun blasts. That was 17 hits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So it was a gnarly day. I loved doing that. Sure. And I was, by the end of the day, Sam was saying, okay, for the final, the death blow, do something interesting, die somehow interesting. And I was so exhausted. Plus I don't know if you could see them, the opaque contact lenses on, and those lenses are huge. They're huge circles. So they push on the upper and the lower flesh where your eyes are connected. And I'm just kind of constantly weeping, because the tears are coming out of your face. And it hurt. So wearing those for hours on end, and they'd take them out and then they'd put them back in. By the end of it, the effects guys were having to hold me down to jam those things back. It's like wearing CDs in your face. It was awful. And I can't see. So they're shooting me, and I have to just go by where I feel the blast on my body, because the squibs actually do explode. So for the last gunshot, I couldn't even think anymore. So all I did was fall face forward on my face. And Sam thought that was absolutely hilarious. I just keel over. I don't even react to it. And I just, poof. And that was the only thing I could think of doing. And Bruce and Sam Raimi called me on their cell phone at the time, their car phone, which is about as big as a shoebox, right? And left me a message on my answering machine on the tape. That's how long ago it was. Going, "You are the best monster ever." It was just so sweet. It was so sweet. Made it all worth it.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Which is worse, actually, getting the 4 hours, getting the makeup on, or when they're taking it off?
Taking it off, because you're so done, you're so over it. It's itchy. It's your skin is screaming, and taking it off. Oh my God! Like, what? I'm still here. We're the last people on the set. We're just everyone else has gone home, gone to bed. Oh.
Was that the only time you played someone with full makeup on?
No, I did a lot with Star Trek. I played every alien.
Right.
Some that never got named. I was. But that was the most extensive.
Right.
For sure.
For someone who grew up playing Star Trek with your friends, what's it like then to later on be in Star Trek episodes of Babylon 5?
Yeah, it was completely fantastic. And I would sneak around and take pictures of myself, like in the captain's chair. Because, nerd.
Sure, of course.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't. Yeah. No, it was pretty awesome. I had a uniform in every color in wardrobe because I was the resident stunt double for all these actresses, and it was awesome.
Yeah. Did you keep any of that stuff or anything from your movie?
No, they don't let you. No.
All right.
Yeah, and everything's pretty much lock and key. They check it in, they check it out.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Do you still do acting?
Yeah, I would. I don't pursue it. I'm way more excited about my adventure retreats.
Yeah. That sounds really fun to me.
Yeah, Quest Retreats it's consuming me right now. And I have no interest in auditioning, to have to prove myself to anybody. And I also really love having control over my own business. Like the business will do as well as I apply myself. And that is not the case in the entertainment industry, I find. As hard as I worked, it seemed like my destiny was not in my own hands. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Because you've got all these suits and all of these opinions on who they want to hire. And it's just this massive crapshoot. So I like having my work prove what I can do, as opposed to somebody else deciding what I can do.
I got you. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I had a great time, and like to keep in touch if you ever like to come back on, or.
Absolutely. Keep me posted if something works out. Maybe around Halloween or something, people will have some more questions.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. All right, great. Thank you so much.